Hi everybody, I am back today with another video, I swear I always say that, about shortbread. I'm going to show you how to make shortbread. I'm not bothered filming it for the first 3 attempts that I've done it because it's taken me quite a long time to perfect the recipe because I burnt it the first time. So yeah, I've managed. I think I've got it right now anyway. So I will show you how to make the shortbread if you want to carry on watching. So today's recipe of choice is this BBC recipe. Now I know the picture looks like a shortbread factory but I don't think it actually makes that many. I chose this one because it's got just the least ingredients and it's probably the simplest as well. So for this you're going to need 125 grams of butter, 55 grams of caster sugar, 180 grams of plain flour, and that's it really, just those 3 things. Really easy to make, and because I've got a wad of butter that's 250 grams, I thought I may as well just double all of these ingredients up. So I'm going to double all these measurements to make a lot of shortbread. Well, actually, when I've done it before, it only just fills this small little tin that I've got, so I think we'll go with that. Step number 1 is to preheat the oven to 190 degrees, but because it takes me actual years to prepare the shortbread, I'm not going to preheat the oven at the minute, but I'll do it in 15 minutes or something. It just takes ages to roll the shortbread out and cut all the shapes out and stuff, so probably just wasting electricity and stuff at the minute, so I'll put it on in about 20 minutes or so. Here are my ingredients. Now this butter has been left out overnight so it's all squishy and stuff, and that helps when you are putting the shortbread together, when you're clumping it together in your hands. So I'd recommend leaving that out overnight or something, just so it's nice and soft. And then I've got an array of little cutters here that I'll be using, and you're just going to need some baking paper to cover the baking trays and stuff so that they don't stick to them. So instead of just throwing this lump of butter in, I've decided to chop it up just so it's easier to mould together. So I've chosen this sharp steak knife to chop it all up, and then I'm just going to add the sugar in because that's what step 1 is. Combine the butter and sugar until smooth, and yes, this is really hard to do with one hand. So in goes my 110 grams of caster sugar, and now I'm just going to use a fork to combine all this until all the sugar has blended into the butter. As if by magic, we are all blended now. Oof, that was not easy on the arms. Shortbread is not for the faint-hearted. Time to add 360 grams of my plain flour. This is where it goes all over me, and I stupidly chose dark clothes to wear. I knew I should have worn my white jumper. So when it starts to look a bit like yellow breadcrumbs, you can tell that the butter's mixed in with the flour. So then I just, instead of stirring it like this, I tend to just push down just so that it starts sticking together a bit, and then you can eventually get your hands in there and start melting the butter a bit so that it all sticks together and you end up with one giant ball. So now it is time to get the hands in. Ugh, I hate that part. And you just want to grab some bits and just squeeze them together in your hand, and it'll start sticking together amazingly. You can see there that that is starting to look a little bit more like some dough we can roll out and put cutters on and cut some stuff out. It's definitely all about the sort of moulding together of the mixture here, because if you don't bother then it's just going to break and it'll just bread come away. So you definitely need to massage it between your hands just to warm the butter up and get it to actually stick to each other. So when it eventually has a little bit more stickiness to it and feels a bit like Play-Doh and is also a bit darker in colour, you know that it's ready to roll out, because when I squish it like that you can see breadcrumbs don't come off, it's all just stuck together and it is ready now to be had shapes cut out of it. Sometimes as well, instead of doing one giant ball, I like to do several of these small balls just because it's easier than trying to get all of the mixture just like to this consistency. So I just do it in stages really, so you can do that if you wish. I feel like I'm squashing one of those stress ball things. So yeah, if you're stressed, just make shortbread. Who would have thought? Shortbread, good for stress. So there they are, my bowls. I said that really weird. There are my bowls, and here is my extravagant setup. Because I don't like rolling it out onto this, because I'm a bit of a freak about germs, I just put some more baking stuff down, and I found an array of heavyish objects to put on all the ends so it doesn't like slide about, but it definitely will still slide about. So yay! I'm just going to put some flour on here now so that it doesn't stick to it, and yeah, get my rolling pin out and start rolling. Rolled this out to about, I don't know how many millimetres that is, probably like half a centimetre. Obviously the thinner that you make your shortbread, the shorter the time it'll take to cook. So I like it roughly about half a millimetre thick, and then I'm just going to take my cutters and cut some little shapes out. So here is the first little guy, going to put him on my tray. Once you've done that, you just need to grab all of the excess and just mould it back into a ball again and repeat the process until you have none left. So now that I have started cutting out my little men, I think by the time that I have finished cutting all of the shapes out, rolling the stuff out and stuff, that the oven will be preheated, so I'd recommend probably putting your oven on when you start cutting the little guys out, or whatever shape you've got, but it does depend on your oven, so just do whatever is best for your oven. I'm covered in flour. If you wondered what I was balancing my camera on, by the way, I have found a new tripod. It is some kitchen roll, and the camera and the little adapter thing fits nicely in here. So yeah, might be using more of the kitchen roll tripod in the future. Now I have cut all of my shapes out, and I've had to make another tray up with some baking paper because the recipe that I used, it said it makes like 25 biscuits, but even on doubling up I've managed to make 27, like medium to large and some small ones actually, biscuits. So if you want to make this many, then follow my recipe. If not, and you want to make half as many, follow the BBC's like recommended ingredients that they used. But yeah, I'm just going to pop these in the oven now, and I'd recommend not putting them in for 20 to 25 minutes because I did that last time and they burnt. So put them in for like 10 minutes at 190 degrees and just see what they're like. If they need a few more minutes, then leave them in a few more minutes, but you definitely need to watch these cooking because they can easily just go over the edge and just burn. So yeah, just gonna pop these in the oven. And just another quick word of warning, shortbreads do like to spread a little bit in the oven, so just leave, well, probably bigger spaces than what I've left, to be honest. But yeah, just space them out a little bit so that they aren't all like one big shortbready mess when you take them out of the oven. Also, I don't know what's happened here, it sort of looks like the human centipede. Not that I've seen that film, but I think everybody knows what it's about. So these have been in for about 12 minutes roughly, but I thought I'd take them out anyway, even though they don't look done, but they are, because the edges have started to brown, and when that happens they just end up like tasting like rocks. So if you want them a bit softer on the old teeth, then just take them out when they are light coloured. So yeah. So one of the last steps is just to transfer them all to a wire rack so that they can cool off, and do be careful because they are still pretty fragile when they come out of the oven. So I'm just going to put these on this rack, and then the last thing you need to do is just sprinkle them with some caster sugar, and you can also add chocolate if you like, melted chocolate, make them a bit more tasty, and even go one step further and add sprinkles. It's completely up to you. So yeah, they are my shortbread. I don't know why my hair looks so ginger today. It's not ginger. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. I had lots of fun making my little shortbread stars. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Any comments or questions, just leave those below and I will get back to you. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you in my next video.